the July regular monthly board meeting, Huntsville Housing Authority. And please let the record show the attendance. I believe Mr. Lowe is here on remote. Commissioner Crutcher was unable to attend today, and other commissioners are present. At this time, we'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes from our June board meeting. Is there a motion? Everybody's had a chance to review those.
Motion for approval.
Commissioner Sullivan,
I'll second.
Commissioner Willie, second. All in favor of approval of the minutes from our last board meeting, please signify by saying aye. 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 Thank you, sir. All right, any old business to come before the board at this time? If not, we'll move forward to our new business. Okay, I'll turn it over to our executive, Mr. Willis.
All right, thank you, sir. Only thing we have a couple of items, but the other part would be part of my executive director comments. The only agenda item is from financial services, and I'll let Teresa just go ahead and go through her report real quick.
Real quick. Well, operating subsidy is unfavorable because of the proration for the May. It was 92.15 versus the previous month of 98.72%. We budgeted our proration to be at 98%, and so that caused the increase. The HUD operating grant, we have drawn down $672,671 that will be spread over the next 12 months for operation. And we have not received any invoices for the Johnson Towers elevator renovation. That we have not received a request from the contractor. Our interest income is trending higher than our actual interest because of better interest that we're drawing on our accounts. Our management fees for 360 properties is unfavorable due to we have some actual units that were unfavorable due to various vacancies and 2 units being repaired for mold remediation. Okay. Moving forward to other income, this particular item consists of $22,577 for ground lease income, $2,381 for property damage claim report from a prior year, $1,267 in scrap metal recycle, and then a $913 paid insurance dividend. So that is total income that is trending under, but the main part of that is really due to not drawing CFP funds that are needed at this time. Moving forward to total administration, the line items here are all favorable. We're only 2 months into this budget cycle. We take the annual budget and divide it by 12, then the budget year to date represents for 2 months of activity. The other, under total tenant services, we have 4 active resident councils, and we are currently working to get Butler Terrace, Todd Towers, and LR Patton to establish duly elected councils. So resident services working on that. And we have some travel expenses that we incurred in April 2023 that will be updated in our June financials that we bring to you. Moving forward to the second page of your financials, total utilities overall is favorable, and that's due to the actual electric expense being lower than we estimated at this time. Also, moving down to total other, this line item seemed to be favorable, and that is because we have our collection loss, which shows as a credit, means we've collected funds from MIS, but that will be offset by what we wrote off for the month of June, which you will see in the financials for June 2023. So at this present time, we have an increase in our unrestricted net position of $57,432 versus our budgeted break-even budget. So do you have any questions about the financials for this month, for May 31st, 2023?
I don't have any. Anybody else on the board have any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I appreciate that. Next, we don't have anything else as far as from any other department. So I'm going to just kind of bring the board up to speed on a couple of things that are going on. One being, we had our developer interviews with 4 of our developers for the Choice Neighborhood Initiative over the last few weeks. We actually graded those developers on Friday, and there should be some information coming out from the city on who we are selecting. Based on what we received, we actually have an opportunity to work with one of the top choice neighborhood developers in the country. They have more choice neighborhoods than anybody in the country. If we choose to sign that agreement with them, that should come out here pretty soon. At this point, the Housing Authority is not obligated to spend any money as it relates to that development process because the city is taking the lead on that. And once we awarded the grant, we will educate our community, especially our residents, on the next steps. And as we talked about in a few of our staff meetings, one of the first things we plan on doing is building a new facility for the seniors and demoing Johnson Towers so that we'll have more room to work back. That's the plan. And I say once we get the grant, because I feel like we have a strong case right now. We've been working with the city to try to get this done, and so I'm excited about that. We also received an extension from the HUD field office on last week on the Mahogany Road apartments or units. At one point, we were trying to sell those units. The process just took a little longer than we anticipated, and so because of the need for affordable housing to stay in our inventory, we've actually extended that for an additional year to try to RAD those units, and we're working with the field office to do that, to put money back into them and turn those into a Section 8 platform. And while we're doing that, we have the opportunity to just kind of do our own portfolio analysis in-house. I know that we're going to be getting with the city as well, but I've asked AJ, our real estate development professional, to come forward and just kind of talk about on a very high level where we are. I think this would be a good time to just kind of start talking about portfolio so that we can really start maybe having some different conversations at different times on where we are, what housing looks like, so that we can start to address some of the needs that we have. Every month, I'm getting reports, and our numbers for the public housing waiting list continue to grow. Last month, they were right around 570, close to 600 people. Same thing in Section 8. Those numbers are expanding. We did a waiting list for the project-based vouchers that'll be going online next month for the Monrovia project. We had close to 500 people in 2 days apply for those 49 vouchers. So the need for affordable housing is just skyrocketing. And I think people are starting to get it. We're starting to get some calls from developers who are not leasing up as they anticipated, and they're starting to reach out to us now to try to get some of our products. So I've asked AJ to just go through and talk about what we have in our portfolio, where we are. And I'll say this, our biggest concern right now will be Choice Neighborhood, the Johnson Tower project, Todd Towers. I know we're working on some stuff that I don't want to open up yet, but also Mahogany Road, because there was a conversation with the city about the potential use of 4 of the buildings in Brookside for the Sky Tower. So we've been talking to the city about that. And then we've also had communication last week with the mayor about those properties on Cotton Road. The Cotton Road properties that we have are in better shape than any other landlord on that street. And so we've been really talking to them about future plans, and I think the mayor is putting something in place right now to try to go over there and clean that community up as well. But AJ, I'm gonna turn it over to you, and then if we have any questions, we'll be able to address those. But what I really want to do is, at a later time, dive into this a little bit deeper when we have a little more time. So
Yes, sir. Thank you, Executive Director McGinnis, Commissioners. So, as Executive Director McGinnis mentioned, we got together and pulled together all the properties. We started with the improved sites, so that would be, we started with Butler Terrace Edition and Johnson Towers. And the status is, it's within the CNI footprint, will consist of 345 proposed units, including the replacement of the 119 senior units. So that's where we are with that. Mahogany Row, as you just mentioned, three of the four fourplexes are currently vacant. We have been in negotiation with the city as they need 4 of our units to affect the Sky Bridge. So what we've been talking to them about is perhaps putting some capital funds into these units, and then once these units are ready to go, we'll put them in a RAD program. So with regard to the scattered sites at Meadow Hills, we started developing a plan for home ownership with tenants, or we're considering a partnership with Habitat for Humanity on those units. As you see, there are 26 units there. Todd Towers, there's been consistent elevator issues. We are exploring some potential partnerships for redevelopment once we get those issues resolved inside of the Todd Towers. Stone Manor, 50 units. We are developing a plan for rental assistance demonstration program on those. Legacy Hills is relatively new within the last 10 years. They're online, so they're going to continue to function as is. Chestnut Glen, the same. As you guys know, LR Patton has recently been renovated, so that's where we are with those units. Cersei Homes are, in poor fair condition according to our last physical needs assessment. So, we'll start looking at those units. North Woods and North Woods Edition are also online, and we're looking at the physical needs assessment. That's a analysis tool by HUD to show where all your mechanical systems are and everything is, the physical structure of the building. Wind Trace, we have 20 units or 5 fourplexes over there. These units are locationally challenged. I was Executive Director McGinnis with the mayor had a meeting with the city councilman for the district to talk about these units later this week. Cotton Row, the same is true. Because of the location, we're also meeting with the council member on those units at the latter part of this week. Stepping Stone condominiums, we have 4 units there. We're developing a plan for home ownership with these units. Stones Throw, we have 2 units there. We're developing a plan for home ownership with these units. Lincoln Park, those are online, restricted for redevelopment programming based on the flood zone location. So are there any questions with respect to the improved sites?
I have a couple questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Cersei Homes, Northwoods, what did we do to make it go from poor to fair?
I think, we would have to go back and review the physical needs assessment. What that does is it gives you a 5-year outlook, a 1 to 5 year outlook, a 6 to 10 year outlook, and 11 to 15 year outlook, and they break it down into systems. For instance, it may be roofs, it may be HVAC. I could go back and reference that, and at a later time come back to you and tell you specifically what the capital outlay is, or how they projected the capital outlay for those.
Okay. And the home ownership, which is great for those condos over there, are those home ownership for housing or home ownership for the resident that live there?
I think we would prefer homeowner for the residents first, and then homeowner for housing secondly.
Okay,
So
cool. Thank you.
And that is a lot of information.
It is.
I could ask questions from every one of those and get really in depth. I don't know that we want to do that right now, but that is a lot to digest. And like Mr. McGee McGinnis said, I mean, we're talking about partnering with the city to do a really in-depth analysis, and, but I appreciate you doing this, because it gives us definitely gives us some talking points and things to think about. On that first one, the C&I footprint, 345 proposed units, and that includes the 119, so that'd be 220 or so, 25. Is that a mixture of public housing and affordable housing, assisted, subsidized housing, Section 8, or is it?
Actually, the best way for us to approach it would be for the units that we're gonna bring back, put them into a Section 8 platform, not bring any public housing back. They would be public housing residents, but they'll have a tenant. It'd be a project-based voucher. And so you get more subsidy for those. The total mix of the units that we're proposing come back right now as a group is 850 for the whole site. But all of our units that we bring back, they won't necessarily be a Section 9, it'll be a Section 8. They'll go from public housing to Section 8.
And I know you've had a lot of conversations about where the median income would be on that, so I guess that's still under discussion.
Yeah, and one of the things I'll add to that is every resident who lived out here when the plan was developed will have an opportunity to come back. They must be given an opportunity to come back. The residents who live in Butler Terrace now, once we go through that phase, they have to get offered throughout the 8-year development cycle. So they have to get the opportunity. What happens in a lot of places that we've been researching is that if a resident is in a place where they really like, they choose not to come back. But we still have to hold those units for public housing residents, so they'll have an opportunity to go back in those.
Anything else?
Again, I got a lot of questions we can talk about at a later time. This is just
I guess I had one.
so much info.
Yes, sir.
Habitat for humanity. And what did you say partnership was?
Yeah, we don't have a partnership as of yet. We've engaged them. They actually have a redevelopment arm of Habitat that we had no clue about, and they're willing to partner with the Housing Authority. We're going to have some more conversation on what they look like, because not only do they have a redevelopment department, they also have a finance department where they allow financing to go through Habitat if we choose to go that route. But right now, everything's just been initial conversation, just kind of gauge where they are. They have a long waiting list as well. Last time I talked to them, it was like 400 people on their waiting list. So it's just trying to see how we can work together to create some kind of synergy, and that's why we're engaging them. But again, we've even last week I had a developer approach us about doing some affordable housing in different parts of the city that they understand the need, and they know Huntsville's growing. They know that there's not a lot of affordability, and so we're starting to get people who are willing to accept our vouchers and accept our our products, which is good for us, because now we don't have to build, we just have to provide a voucher and give our residents an opportunity to live there. And it kind of deconcentrates some of the poverty when it's done like that. The project that's going to take place in Monrovia, I can't wait till that happens, because I think it'll definitely show what public-private partnership can do. And so I'm most excited when partners come to
construction.
They're going to lease up next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot that has came up since they started building that one.
Yeah.
Like all around it.
So it's going to be really. We got a meeting with them today at 3:00 to iron out some details. So hopefully we can do some more of that with Penrose and Hamilton Capital and other groups like that who are willing to come in and do some of these projects. So what I really want us to do maybe one day after everything kind of settles down is really just kind of have some brainstorming sessions where we get back together and talk about this in more detail and just navigate a plan so that we'll have a plan moving forward that's consistent to what we want to do and partner with whoever wants to come to the table.
When are things supposed to settle down?
I know.
Good question.
Anything else? I don't guess Mr. Lowe had this document, but from the oral presentation, you got any questions? Commissioner Lowe?
One question came to mind is there a map of all properties that accept Section 8 housing?
I don't know if we have a map of everybody who accepted. We have a website, and it's constantly changing, but I don't know if we have a map, because it's all over the county.
And I would add, Commissioner Lowe, with today's multifamily turbulence, I think you'll see a lot of movement with respect to who's going to be accepting our vouchers. I think our vouchers have probably doubled in value in the way of people being able to meet their pro forma. Then there was a time where there wasn't a need, but you know, with downtown Huntsville being 70% occupied, their pro formas being calculated at 94% occupancy, there is a strong demand to get those units leased up and less resistance to the stigma of our voucher, for sure.
70%?
70%.
Yeah.
We met with a developer 2 weeks ago that was at 25%.
It's the economy, like, it's going in our favor, because even downtown Eclipse, they have started renting out, because A&M doesn't have enough dorms, so they're starting to rent out, and then kind of your students are starting to live in the apartments, so it's a high demand, and it's big time in our favor, because they have all this development coming up, but they can't rent. Even hotels are renting spaces in the buildings, 2 floors, while they build up, so, yeah.
I know you had mentioned at one of the meetings when we started to see rent concessions and deals, that it would be a good symbol that things were changing. I had a friend that leased one of the downtown apartments, and he got 2 months at half rent recently. There was no free rent up
Right.
front. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, if you think about what that god-awful project that they're doing on Pratt, I hope nobody's involved in that in this room, but that's $2,500 a month. Pratt Avenue.
Right by Goldsmith Ship and Field.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
There's like 500 apartments there.
Yeah,
I think.
2,500. So, I mean, how's that, I mean, so it only, like Commissioner Willie said, it only works in our favor with respect to, there's, the resistance component is fading away. So with regard to the vacant sites, I'll go ahead and move on to that. Ashley, you'll be happy to know that we're just waiting on an updated appraisal for HUD to resubmit that to HUD. We have to have one within 6 months, so we're waiting on that. Spartan Homes is shovel-ready, and what that means is we're ready to do something there, but we're just restricted with respect to HUD because of the elevated highway and the active railway, so that impedes our ability to access HUD dollars for a future refinance. So if a developer came in, it would have to be more of a public entity or a private entity that could hold. But it couldn't be refinanced in 10 years or 15 years through a HUD product because it doesn't meet HUD requirements.
I always thought shovel-ready meant everything was ready to go, the financing, the
Oh, yeah,
plan, and all that, so I don't think we're there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll stand corrected. I mean, we're ready to do something. We can't do anything, so we'll change that. We'll strike that.
When we did the Gateway property, the senior building down there, we had a tax credit deal approved, and then we hit all the issues that went with the recession and everything, so there was stimulus money that replaced it, and everybody said since we were shovel-ready and actually had the project on go, so that's why I've always looked at that.
Well, yeah,
I mean, it was, we got the money from the stimulus package because we were prepared to build.
Sure. Well, I guess, the best way to reframe that is to hold. This is in a hold until we find a use.
Thank you. I'm being contentious there.
No, it's fine, it's fine.
Semantics.
At Stone Manor, there's a 4-acre site at Stone Manor on Benaroya. We oftentimes have different developers take a look at it to see if it was something that they could do. So we always have movement there, but nothing has materialized so far with that. I mean, I'm having a call about that site tomorrow.
So is this the vacant land beside?
Yes, sir.
Stone Manor?
Yes, Commissioner. Yep. And then Brian Bank, as some of you guys may know, we've been in conversation with them for the early termination of the ground lease. We've had an appraisal done, they've had an appraisal done, and somewhere in between there is where we are. They have their own ideas, but because of, this has had federal dollars attached to it at one point, we have to make sure and ensure that we, if we're going to do a disposition or if we're going to early terminate the ground lease, that we do so at market value.
On Stone Manor, have most of the inquiries, have they been about senior housing?
Senior. But see, the deal is, the challenge with that is the density requirement. Senior, they want to go up 3, but, seniors, after that 3rd floor, walk up, that makes it a little bit challenging for seniors.
Just a lot of seniors live down there, those big, is it Malibu, whatever those apartments, and then you got Magnolia Trace back there. It seems like a really strong senior community down there.
So that's what we've been able to put together thus far. As Executive Director McGinnis mentioned, we're happy to come back at a later date, maybe schedule a date to have a brainstorming session, or if you guys want to have some additional inputs after you've had an opportunity to review the material, happy to do that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Anything else from your?
Man, I just want to say, those who've been able to come out, watch summer basketball, attend the Boys and Girls Club event Thursday, had a big event in Northwood, and I hear there was one in Searcy that just kind of skipped the radar. I'm not sure how that, but man, there's a lot of people investing back into these communities, and so we just really appreciate the support that we're getting in serving, especially these young people and their families that we serve. So anybody that, we're gonna have another event, hopefully, the 25th or 26th, Wednesday or Thursday of next week. We're gonna close out the basketball program with a nice party, picnic, championship game. So we'll be doing that next week. So you have a chance to come out. We'll create a flyer and it'll be out after tomorrow. Hope that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Very good report. Any public comments this time? Anybody signed up for public comments? Mr. Ace?
Yeah, how y'all doing? I'm gonna be brief. I just wanna say that I gave y'all a form to look at, please, and stuff. And I hope when I say what I'm about to say, that sometimes as adults we need to agree to disagree, but respect each other's opinion. My problem is that I'm not talking about nothing y'all talking about to me now. And it's a good thing that y'all doing for the house and go through. But as a resident, they said that y'all supposed to come and, listen to some of our opinions and stuff, whatever our problem might be. But I'm saying this because due to the fact that I feel sometimes as a whole organization at the public housing, I'm not talking about everybody, but some of the people, I had an issue with the housing board about 3 or 4 years ago, and I thank God I got my house, but there are some people that can't seem to let it go on their behalf and have a personal issue with me as a person. But you know, I'm human, I make mistakes, and so do everybody in here make mistakes. Sometimes, seems like to me it's a different set of rules for the resident than it is for the employees. You know, if you come to somebody and they work somewhere and you ask them a question and they tell you they don't know, and then you run around, but then when you tell them about the situation, they make it seem like you the person that's in the wrong. You know what I'm saying? Y'all say y'all here to help us. Like when I said us, I'm talking about the resident. Then I just think sometimes if we need help, you can't help it. You're supposed to direct us to somebody that can help. Now when I say this again, I'm not talking about everybody at the housing authority. When you say something on the purpose of organization, you have to include everybody. Because it all falls on all y'all as a whole. But I'm not trying to sit here and put nobody down. But I just wish that the situation that I had with the housing authorities some years ago, that some of the people that work with the housing authority can let it go. I done let it go. I try to mind my own business. I pay my rent on time, I pay my utilities on time, I stay away from them. But then when I have a problem, nobody want me to address it. So I'll ask you to just read that paper and you know, and see, can we move forward from what happened between us some time ago? And I appreciate it. And thank you.
Thank you for coming and for sharing your perspective with us. Seriously.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Commissioner comments? You got anything from the remote location there, Mr. Lowe? Commissioner?
So, okay.
You still with us? Head on down to the beach. Thank you for attending. There he is. Wow. Good for you. Rub it in next time. You got anything, Commissioner Sullivan?
Good.
I'd like to follow up on our executive's comments about the community partnerships and some of the events, and a little bit more into what I've seen. The basketball league's been awesome. He offered me an opportunity to help him coach his team the other night, and I declined, but I may rethink that after y'all got beat by that buzzer beater. And there were some real questions about the coaches at that game. No, that's really been awesome. There's a great fellowship, and it's just a good feeling when you go in the gym. I've heard more of the guys that grew up at the Boys and Girls Club and grew up at the West Side Community Center say, I used to live for this. You know, this was just so important growing up, have opportunities like this. So thank you for that. The Boys and Girls Club Leaders in Legend, we had a lot of people here that attended that. They had over 1,000 attendees, raised hundreds of thousands of dollars to serve our kids in the community. Even though we had an Auburn guy come and speak, he kind of transcends the Auburn, Alabama thing. That's what I said when they brought Bo Jackson. Cam Newton was just so larger than life. But we had over 1,000 people at the dinner. The tables were $2,500 a piece, and people give a lot more of that in sponsorships and to the Boys and Girls Club board. That was just a fantastic event. I did attend the event at Searcy Homes Saturday, the Friends of 400, which is essentially Shelley Mitchell, but she has support from the Scout Troop and the Boys and Girls Club. They gave out 400, between 350 and 400 book bags. And the way that works, they give them to all the kids in Searcy, but all the people that have lived in Searcy through the years know Shelley Mitchell because she's always been there for over 20 years. And so she also does a Christmas present, and people stay in touch with her. They let her know they're coming to get those book bags for their kids, and she buys the Christmas presents, gets the kids what they want. People send in, and she raises all the money to do that. So if you see her around, we all owe her thanks for what she does in the community. And they saved a few book bags for some kids that couldn't make it, but most all of them were handed out. And then I believe we gave out 150, and the Housing Authority, we had great attendance at the Northwoods Family Fair this weekend, which I can't even really describe that. You'd think I was making it up, but the Church of the Highlands and the Generosity Foundation, they get out there, and it's like a full-blown water park. The food is just endless. They're frying fish and hush puppies and get hamburgers and hot dogs, and there's all kinds of, snow cones and ice cream and just everything. So I talked to Joe McKenzie this morning that heads up the Generosity Foundation, and he said they had over 1,700 people show up from the community to participate, and between 150 to 200 volunteers. It's just amazing. I've never been a huge fan of one-day events where you just get everybody together, but theirs is so relational. They have a serve day on that. They serve dinner every Monday night and give testimonials and witness and pray with people that want to, but they provide food out in the community. And then once a month they have the serve day, which they had this Saturday morning, and they have a group that fixes people's cars, they work on people's houses, they fellowship and just do so much in that community. And so the one-day event was relational. It's not like they're just showing up and putting on their event and packing up their stuff and leaving. It's all people that they're in relationship with and trying to help. One other thing, Blossomwood School has really reached out to the Searcy Homes community, and they want to build a bridge and get the parents involved and really bring in some educational assistance for the kids at the Boys and Girls Club and Scouts. So they've got 2 or 3 events I want to get with you. There's one tomorrow, actually, where we may be able to help provide some transportation, help get some kids and parents over to the playground. They're having a meeting with the principal, but great opportunity with school starting back to really get our kids engaged over there. And it's been kind of a struggle since all the redistricting went on, and just a lot of it's just lack of people connecting the dots and getting to know their neighbors. So we're working on that as well. Probably a lot of other stuff's going on out there that I missed or don't know about, because it just seems like there's so many good things going on in the community and people that are working together. It's really gratifying to see. That's it for me. Preached the sermon today. Thank y'all for all, everybody that came out and has participated in these events from HHA. Saw you there. No further business. We'll stand adjourned.